Hey everyone, it's Clay with modernlove.life, where we help you get the great loving relationship that you're looking for without having to play mind games, without having to play hard to get, and without having to pretend to be someone or something that you are not, because you deserve to be loved for the unique, amazing, and wonderful person that you are. In this video, we're going to be talking about 5 things that people do who actually do get their exes back. We're going to be talking about some things kind of related to our course, the X Solution program. If you want to learn about it, there's a link to it down below in the description box. Not going to twist your arm if it's not right for you, but if you're curious and you want to check it out, or if you already know about it and you decide that, hey, today's the day, then there's that link for you. But if you could, if nothing else, do me a favor by hitting that like button for the YouTube algorithm to kind of help this video spread a little bit on YouTube so that other people can find it, and maybe it might help them as well too. So thank you very much for all the people out there that do actually hit the like button. It does help us out. Okay, so I've been helping people with breakups and getting back together with their exes since 2009, which is a crazy long time when you think about it. It used to be a long time in internet years, and now it's just a long time in normal years. But there have been some patterns that I've seen over this stretch of time of people who are successful and people who, let's just say, are more challenged. And we'll be talking about the people who have more challenges tomorrow. So be sure to tune in to tomorrow's video if you want to check that out. But today we are talking about the people who are successful. So what are some things that really help? The first thing and the first way that I can tell that someone is likely to be successful is if they actually are able to keep perspective about what's going on in their situation and about what's happening between them and their ex. That is to say, they're not necessarily getting pulled so much into the drama and the ups and the downs of the connection. I mean, pretty much every situation I've encountered and I've worked through someone with, and even in my own breakup with my big ex, it was not just a smooth ride from like, okay, we broke up, and then little slow linear progress, and suddenly like, okay, now we're back together. In fact, it was really this sort of like crazy swirling roller coaster, and for a lot of reasons, it seems to be that way for most people when it comes to getting back together with their ex. And again, we talked about this in that previous video that I did, I think it was 2 weeks ago now at this point, because it's really about just like one person's decision about whether they want to be in a relationship or not, and kind of the emotional swings that come from that. And so what we want to do is we want to keep that perspective of like, okay, just because something bad happened today doesn't mean that it's always going to be that way. It doesn't mean that things are over forever. It doesn't mean that this is never going to be recoverable. And in the same vein, just because something good happened today doesn't mean that we're going to constantly be experiencing this great positive energy and that we're going to ride this positivity forever. We might end up having one of those pullbacks, or we might end up with our ex going through one of those 5 stages like riding the dragon, where you get a lot of hot behavior and cold behavior. People, they love the hot behavior when their ex is saying, I miss you, I love you, and all that, but they don't like the cold behavior. But just remember, you want to take both the hot behavior and the cold behavior with a little bit of a grain of salt when your ex is at that stage of getting back together, because again, we have to keep perspective here. We have to stay kind of centered in ourselves, grounded, and not get pulled off into the ups and downs along the way. By the way, if you are kind of new to me, this channel, or maybe you just have no idea what I'm talking about, you might want to check out this video series up here on the 5 stages your ex goes through. One of those is riding the dragon. A lot of people have gone through this video series and learned about these 5 stages, and they've told me that it's been really helpful and insightful for them. So check that out if you would like. It might be helpful and insightful for you too as well. But the second thing that people who actually get back together with their ex, the second thing that they do is that they focus on making progress, not in this sort of like all or nothing kind of thinking. Oftentimes people will think that they just need to, do something now to get their ex back. And I know that's definitely that way in like the early stages of a breakup, where you just kind of want to get things back together again. Oftentimes people are in damage control mode and they just want to, say something to make things right again. And this causes people to do things like, beg or plead or promise and swear up and down that they'll change. Just ask their ex for another chance, all these sorts of things, even, writing a sort of like, long, heartfelt letter and things like that. These are things that are kind of, big moves. I've seen people do other sorts of big moves too, like, flying across the country to surprise their ex with like a wedding proposal or something like that. And these are not necessarily very good things to do, because we're going to get into this more in a little bit, but your ex is on their own emotional journey and they need to kind of work through their own emotions. They need to make sure that you understand where they're at emotionally first before they feel comfortable going on that journey together with you. And so what we want to do is we want to focus not so much on the big moves and trying to get it all done in one fell swoop with one conversation, with one meetup, with one whatever. What we want to do is we want to just look for progress. If we're here, can we just make even just the smallest a little bit of progress forward? So, maybe the two of you are talking. Can we actually take it from maybe just surface level connection towards emotional connection, like we've talked about in other videos or in our courses? If so, then that's progress. Okay, maybe we're not back together yet, but now we're able to talk on the emotional level. Or maybe we're talking about platonic things. Can we just have a little bit of progress and maybe start flirting with one another or take it to that kind of romantic level? Okay, that's not getting all the way back together, but that's progress. And now we have kind of a little bit more of a bigger bubble of what we can and can't do. And then we can just kind of make a little bit of progress from there, and a little bit more from there, and a little bit more from there, until we actually are able to start to move things towards actually recommitting. So we want to look for progress, not just kind of doing it all in one fell swoop, because, your ex is on this journey as well too. They're going to need some time to feel comfortable with the idea of getting back together with you. They're going to need some time to think about it. They're going to need some time to build confidence in it and to trust that they're making the right choice. And so that's something that takes a little bit of time. And so what we want to do is we want to just focus on little tiny bits of progress as opposed to trying to do it all at once. The next thing that successful people do is that they focus on the emotional connection between them and their ex. Now, I've said before in many videos that the emotional connection between you and your ex is the most important thing. In fact, when I'm on coaching calls with people, typically what I'm doing for the first portion of the call is just listening to where the emotional connection is. What is the obstacle that's blocking these two people from connecting emotionally? And what is it that we can do to start to remove that obstacle? That's really what I focus on. Now, there's all sorts of different philosophies when it comes to people who coach with relationships and breakups and all that stuff. Some people say, oh, it's all about mind games. That's like not what I'm into. I think that should be pretty obvious to most of you. There's other people that think that it's all about like masculine, feminine dynamics. There's other people that think it's all about like personality types or attachment styles or all these other things. And I agree that a lot of these things have their place, but in at least my perspective anyway, getting into a relationship with someone is an emotional decision, and it's something that they're going to be making with their emotions. And so that is, in my philosophy, the most important thing that we should be focusing on. Yeah, sure, like psychology and mind games and masculine, feminine dynamics and attachment styles and all these other sorts of things, they might be factors to consider, but what should come first and foremost in my view of the world and relationships is the emotional connection. Because if you are going to have a great relationship with someone, it should probably be built on a foundation of a strong emotional connection. So let's just get started building that and then let everything else fall into place. So you want to start by focusing on that. Make that your priority in this whole journey. So don't worry about all of these other things that maybe you instinctively worry about, or maybe other people tell you to worry about, like who's initiating contact more, who is, asking someone to do this, who's flirting, who's doing all these other things, but instead look at the emotional level and like say, okay, maybe they don't feel comfortable initiating contact because of an emotional thing. Maybe they don't feel comfortable flirting because of an emotional thing. And if we can just address that, suddenly the emotional channel starts to clear up, and then everything starts to fall into place. The next thing that we want to talk about here, the next thing that successful people do, is that they actually listen to where their ex is at on an emotional level. Now, again, we're talking about the emotional stuff here. So oftentimes your ex has their own experience through this whole process of a breakup. They might feel hurt, they might feel frustrated, they might feel betrayed, they might feel any number of things based off of what happened or didn't happen before, during, or after the breakup. And we want to definitely address and meet them where they're at on that emotional level so that they feel understood and seen, and they really get that we understand them. And what this is going to do is it's going to drop their defenses and start to see us as being on the same team as them. And that's going to help them feel more comfortable and confident getting closer to us. Now, one of the big mistakes that people that struggle actually do is that they don't acknowledge their ex's emotional place and where their ex is at emotionally, and they start to do things like, ultimatums and doing things like, well, I want him to initiate contact with me, but okay, he feels uncomfortable doing that, so we can just wait for him to initiate contact. That might take a long time because maybe he feels hurt, maybe he feels betrayed still, maybe he has all sorts of other feelings that he's going through right now that are blocking him from actually doing that. And so what we want to do is we want to meet our ex at the emotional place that they're at, help to kind of clear out that emotional channel that I kind of alluded to earlier, and really focus on that. And of course, the fifth thing that successful people do is that they also take care of their own boundaries. Now, oftentimes people can kind of, lose themselves in the process of analyzing what their ex is doing, thinking about their ex, thinking about what stage they're at, thinking about all of these things. Am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? Are they open and receptive? Are they happy? Are they uncomfortable? That they kind of lose touch of who they are and what they want. And obviously, I don't want you to do that, because obviously you are an important component in any relationship that you have. And so what I want you to do is to stay connected to yourself, stay connected to what you want, and kind of just intentionally choose what are the important things to you. Now, some things might be really important to you, like, maybe you have a certain boundary of not sleeping with someone outside of a committed relationship. And maybe that's okay with you, maybe that's not okay with you, whatever. Your boundaries are your boundaries. They're not my boundaries. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, no one should ever do this. Outside of, like, treating everyone with kindness and compassion and not breaking the law and stuff like that. Hey, whatever you want to do is totally up to you. So choose what's important to you. Set those boundaries if you need to. Love yourself enough to set those boundaries, and then, follow through and enforce those boundaries if you absolutely have to. Don't by any means be a doormat or anything like that, because, you do deserve to be loved for who you are. I mean that. I'm not just saying that. I do mean that. And if you need to enforce some boundaries, absolutely do it. Love yourself enough to do it. Love your ex, love your partner enough to not allow them to treat you poorly. Okay? So once again, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do like these things that we've talked about, please do me a favor by helping to share this video on YouTube by giving this video a thumbs up. It tells the YouTube algorithm that, hey, you might want to show these videos to more people. Also, feel free to subscribe to this channel so that you can get updated when we post new videos as well. And if you are curious about that X Solution Program course, there is a link for that down in the description box below. But thank you so much for watching this video. Once again, my name is Clay, and if you want to learn more about those 5 stages your ex goes through, there's a video series on that right over here, or you might want to check out this video over here. Anyway, thank you so much. Please take care and have a great day.